All right, today we're diving into one of the world's oldest and, honestly, cleverest collection of stories, the Panchatantra. Now, you might look at these and think, oh, cute, talking animals. These are for kids, right? Well, not exactly. These are actually a super sophisticated guide to politics, strategy, and survival, all wrapped up in these brilliant little fables. Which, of course, begs the question.
Yeah, what can they teach us? That's the whole point. Because these ancient tales weren't just meant to be entertaining, they were specifically designed to teach future kings how to rule. I mean, we're talking about everything from picking the right friends to outsmarting an enemy who's way bigger and stronger than you are.
So, where did this incredible collection of stories even come from? Well, believe it or not, it all started because a king had let's just say, a massive problem. So you've got this wise and powerful ruler, King Amra Shakti. The problem, his three sons were, well, they were fools. Totally arrogant, completely ignorant, and had zero interest in learning how to, run a kingdom. The king was at his wit's end. He tried everything, but nothing was working. His entire legacy was on the line.
So, in desperation, the king calls for this brilliant elderly scholar named Vishnu Sharma. And Sharma makes this incredibly bold promise. He says, I don't want your money or rewards. I'll make you a deal. I swear that in 6 months, I will make your sons masters of statecraft. And if I don't, you can change my name. I mean, talk about high stakes.
So how on earth was he planning to do it? It wasn't going to be through boring lectures or heavy textbooks, that's for sure. Vishnu Sharma knew he had to get creative. He had to capture their imagination. And his secret weapon was storytelling. And that collection of stories is what we now know as the Panchatantra, which literally means the 5 treatises. Every single story was designed to teach a concept called niti, which is basically the art of living wisely and effectively. Think of it as a leadership MBA, but way more entertaining. To really get a feel for how this worked, let's jump into one of the most famous fables from the whole collection. Just imagine you're one of those bored princes, and Vishnu Sharma sits you down and starts telling you this story. So, in a certain forest, there's this terrifying lion named Pasaraka. And this guy's a real piece of work. He doesn't just hunt when he's hungry, he hunts for fun. The other animals are living in constant fear, so they finally come to him with a deal. They say, look, stop the senseless killing. We promise we'll send you 1 animal for your dinner every single day. The lion, being lazy and arrogant, thinks, hey, daily room service? I'll take it. So things settle down. But it's still a life ruled by fear. Then, one day, it's the turn of a tiny rabbit. He knows he stands no chance fighting the lion. He's walking towards his doom when he happens to pass by an old, deep well, and suddenly, an idea sparks in his mind. A brilliant, risky idea. The rabbit deliberately shows up late. The lion is furious, roaring, "Where have you been?" But the rabbit calmly explains, "I'm so sorry, sire. I was stopped on the way here by another lion. He claims that he is the true king of this forest." Now this is genius. The rabbit is playing on the lion's massive ego. Basaraka is enraged and demands to be taken to this imposter immediately. The rabbit leads the fuming lion right to the edge of the well. Basuraka peers over and sees his own angry reflection in the water. Thinking it's the rival lion, he lets out the biggest roar you've ever heard, and he leaps into the well to attack. Splash. It's over. The tyrant is gone, and the forest is free. And that, right there, is the lesson for the princes. It's not just a cute story about a bunny. It's a masterclass in strategy. It teaches that your enemy's greatest strength, in this case, the lion's pride, can be turned into their greatest weakness. Brains beat brawn. But hey, the lessons weren't always about outsmarting some big, scary monster out in the wild. Vishnu Sharma knew that some of the biggest dangers come from the people you let into your own circle. So let's check out a completely different kind of story. This one is all about trust, and it's a pretty harsh lesson on what can happen when you let the wrong person into your life. All right, so picture this. There's a louse, and she's living the dream in the seams of the king's luxurious bed. It's a sweet gig. One day, a bedbug wanders in, sees this plush setup, and gets incredibly jealous. He begs the louse, "Please, just one little taste of the king's blood, that's all I want." The louse is a little hesitant, but eventually agrees with one very, very important rule. You have to wait until the king is totally, deeply asleep. But the bedbug, he's greedy and has zero patience. The second the king lies down, the bedbug rushes in and gives him a nasty bite.
Ouch! The king yelps in pain and orders his servants to tear the bed apart and find whatever bit him. The bug, being fast, quickly scuttles into a crock and vanishes. But the poor, slow-moving louse is found instantly, and she's killed. All because she trusted the wrong person. A brutal lesson, right?
And the variety of lessons is just incredible. You've got stories like The Mice and the Elephants, showing how even the smallest trends can save the mightiest. Or The Jackal in Indigo Dye, which is a perfect warning against pretending to be something you're not. It's a whole strategic guide to life. Now here's what's so amazing. These stories were so powerful, so universally true, that they didn't just stay in India. They went viral, ancient world style, and became one of history's first truly global bestsellers. And the whole collection is so well structured. It's organized into these 5 books. The first is about how you lose friends. The second is all about how you win them. Others get into hardcore strategy, like the book on crows and owls, which is basically about warfare. And it finishes with warnings about losing what you've earned and, my favorite, making ill-considered actions. It's a complete course in leadership. And the journey these stories took is just mind-boggling. They start in India around 300 CE. By 550, they're in Persia. Then they hit the Arab world in 750 and become a massive literary sensation. By the Middle Ages, they're everywhere in Europe, influencing writers like La Fontaine and even the Brothers Grimm. It is one of the most translated non-religious books in human history. That is a huge deal. So, after all these centuries, after all that traveling and translating, what's the core wisdom here? What makes these stories stick around? And what should we be taking away from them today?
The lessons are just as sharp today as they were for those 3 princes. I mean, choose your allies carefully. You don't want to be the louse. Use your brain, not just your muscle, like the rabbit. Be careful of people who just tell you what you want to hear. And maybe most important, be authentic. Pretending to be someone else for power usually ends in disaster. These aren't just stories, they're timeless strategies for life.
Which brings me to one last question for you to think about. In the story of your own life, when you face a challenge, who are you? Are you the lion, trying to power through with brute force? Are you the rabbit, looking for that clever angle nobody else sees? Or maybe you're the cunning fox, always thinking 3 steps ahead. The Panchatantra reminds us we always have a choice. Thanks for watching.